Welcome everybody to our Monday night call presented to you by the Mesh Movement. And tonight I'm extra excited to have Marty Vids, who is a very successful businessman and a very successful podcaster, among being a master practitioner and trainer of NLP. He's certified in spiral dynamics. And just to bring it back to the podcast, it's reached 10 million ears, or actually 20 million ears, hasn't it? Because there's people wearing too. So I met Marty on social media, and we sort of followed each other a little bit, and we were really lucky that our paths crossed at the latest Kirk Ashley Find Your Fire retreat. You see the poster there. We both got one of them. So, and we just hit it off. And Marty's just got a terrific, kind, genuine energy about him. And I just know, I knew even before I saw his success that he was just perfect for what we want to have on a call on a Monday night. So I'm going to stop babbling, and Marty, just take it away, mate. Show us some magic.
Oh, well, no pressure. Hang on, let me get my hat. And look, I guess I've been very fortunate in my business career, and I very much started from the age of 7 in a milk bar in Pascoe Vale in Melbourne. And I learnt very early on, my parents gave me the bread stand to run within the milk bar, which I think was probably the most successful part of the milk bar, mind you. But it really gave me an understanding at an early age that when George came across the street, I knew which bread he liked, and I'd get his milk and put it on the counter, and I'd always get a tip for doing that. So I'd get to know people beyond what they were just buying. And even from when the tip-top man came, if I helped him bring the bread in, he would throw in an extra couple of loaves. So for me, I kept the money that I made off the bread stand. So as an 8-year-old, I was doing really well with $20 a week at least, So but I learned so much from those early days in business. And then at school, I sort of always struggled with relevancy. So I was really, really good at a couple of subjects that I absolutely loved. And then it seemed to be the conceptual stuff like English literature, business studies, and anything I could start to play around with, I enjoyed. But the rest of the stuff I really struggle with. So, and that was a bit hard hitting, because I went to my careers teacher, I think it was year 10, and I said, he said, well, look, I think given your grades, you're better off to become a butcher. And that's no disrespect to butchers, but that wasn't going to be where I was headed. But it really kicked me in the guts, because I thought, gee, this is how people were perceiving myself. And I saw myself in a different light to that. So I think that was the first time I felt that external pressure of going, gee, I don't know whether I fit in this system. And I didn't. I didn't fit in the system. And I was fortunate enough at the age of 17 to have this course that I went into called What Works, which was a small business course, which we started visualization. So we started to sort of look at, what do you want in your life, and then putting in the actions to achieve it. And that was the first time I'd thought beyond my actual circumstance. And I thought, this is great, I'm drawing cars and houses, and as a 17-year-old, this is like magic to me. And then obviously we then had to implement the activity to achieve a certain result. So for me, out of all crazy things, I decided to run a local stand-up comedy night at the launch. I called it the Launch Laugh, and it was fantastic. I went into all the shops and had these flyers that I drew, and not like the whiz-bang stuff you've got today. I actually drew the damn thing and photocopied it, and then walked into the shops and handed it to people. And we were on a Wednesday night in a country town selling out 120 seats into these stand-up nights. I had the kids in the drama class painting the boards on either side of the stage, and it was just that course was amazing, because it just gave me the ability to plan and execute. And from that point onwards, I was much more project-based than I was, just career-based. And then I gave up on my dreams. I was 23. I was copying crap from everyone, going, when are you getting a real job? I was doing stand-up nights. I wasn't getting home till 4 a.m. I was making more money than my dad, mind you, at that time. And I was actually listening to his advice, and he was going at me tooth and nail. When are you going to get serious? When are you going to get a career? And I listened to it, and I listened to a bit of negative feedback from my friends going, you know what, you said that joke last week. Well, you know what, in comedy and in life, you can say the same joke for 10 years and get leverage off it. That's the whole point, is leverage. And I didn't get that at 23. And so I did the very thing that I shouldn't have done, and I joined the bank, the most unfunniest thing you could do, because one thing that was good about it was I got an understanding of money. So that was like at a whole different level. And within, I think, about 5 years, I had a guy by the name of Charlie Heary sit across from me, and he said, Marty, I don't know what you meant to do, but you just shouldn't be here. And it was funny because I was feeling the same way, but I thought, what did he see in me that I wasn't seeing in myself? And I met a guy then by the name of Andrew Meikle, who was an Ironman in the 90s that raced with Trevor Hendy, who was one of my idols back then. And he said, Marty, don't finish seventh in life. He goes, Trevor Hendy knew at that point in the race, we were all worried about our sponsors trying to get a good result. And he would just, every time in a race, he'd just go for it when he needed to go for it. And he'd either crash or burn, but more times than not, he would win. And that really, in a room of 300 people, I was sitting there, and it was like I got a bolt of lightning just through my head. And I go, you know what? I'm not going to float. I'm not going to watch Jerry Springer at lunchtime. I'm not going to come in late and just meander through my day. I'm going to be the best I can be in the role that I'm at, where I'm at now, and I'm going to see where that takes me. So then I get 3 job promotions in the next 6 months. So I go from earning, this is back, like I say, when rainbows were black and white, back in late 90s. But it was like, I went from 45 grand pretty much to 80 grand within about a 6-month period. And I was watching what people were doing. I was modeling. I was saying, okay, they're coming in early. They're out of here by 1 o'clock seeing clients. And they just seem to be really good on time management, making the most of their day. And I started to duplicate a lot of the behaviors that they were doing, but in my own way. I was always very good in relating to people. So that was really interesting. And then within 6 months, I heard this thing called mortgage broking, and I thought, oh, wow, we can empower the client's financial futures and give them choice, as opposed to the banks dictating what people should have. And the advice we were given in the banks were always horrible. It was always, don't sell them the best product, sell them this product because it makes us more money. And I just philosophically, having family and small business, just couldn't wear that, because my philosophy was, if you take care of that person, they tell their friend, and then that friend tells their friends. So this mortgage broking was fascinating to me, and we started Mortgage First in 2000, and it was just a whole new ball game. We sat there the first month going, why aren't the phones ringing? Because we're so used to being inundated. All of a sudden, phones aren't ringing. We're going, oh my goodness, we've got to make this happen. We've got to get out there and make it happen. And how we did that was, we basically decided we were going to start 3 conversations a day, whether it was a shopping centre or a barbecue, and just show interest in people until they showed interest in us, so we could explain what we did. So we always came from that angle of, all right, how do we communicate and engage people, but show interest in them genuinely? And that was our biggest marketing coup. Because you think about that, that's 15 interaction points a week, and you take that over the course of a year, it's something like, I think it's 720 on even a 46 week year. So that became huge momentum for us. And we really, our point of difference was we weren't going to just sell a mortgage because anyone could sell a mortgage and show different pricing. So we never wanted to sell on price. We always wanted to sell on expertise. So we'd show people how to save $80,000 on their mortgage. We'd show them how to develop their investment portfolios. We market out, I always say we documented our brilliance, where everyone was doing an email suggesting this is the product you should have on email, and that being it, we would actually do a full proposal, and people would go to us, why would you go to that effort? Why would you do that for us? We could just take this now to the bank and do it. And I go, yeah, but they're the ones that screwed you over with the standard variable rate. So sure, we didn't say that, directly to them, but we knew that we were offering incredible value in comparison to other brokers and also the banks in general. So we were mastering that craft of value and excellence at that stage. And that first, we knew if we sat in front of accountants and showed them how to save money, they would talk to their clients. If we sat in front of financial planners and showed them how to save money and do their portfolios, they would tell their clients. So we always looked for the connectors, and we knew if we could do their deal, then they would tell everyone else of our value. They became our sales force. So we never had to market. It was always word of mouth. And this is before social, right? So this is when people were on the phone talking to each other, or it was face to face. So this was quite an incredible time for us, and we dramatically grew. And I know personally we won 2004 Brokerage Firm of the Year in Victoria, and then both the founders, Craig Parkins and myself, won Sales Mastery 3 years running, because we were just shooting the lights out 3 times industry average. And how we did that, people always go, how did you go 3 times standard average of everyone else? Well, that was our expectation. We should have gone more when I think about it, but we actually set ourselves, we're going, all right, if this is average, how do we triple that? So we always had that intention of working backwards, going, if the average is 700 a month, 700 grand a month in loans, well, we want to be doing 2.1, and then we want to set that the standard of the new average in our organization. So everyone, when they came into our business, that was the expectation. We trained to that level. We mentored to that level. There were outstanding bonuses if they went over that. And if they didn't, we would manage them and mentor them in order to get there. So it became just an expectation of the business to be, that have that excellence and 3 times standard. So, and that then just evolved. We sold it in 2007 to a publicly listed company, which was the WHK Group. And here's these country boys that came from really not much at all. We're very working class. And, we get the check of a lifetime just before the GFC. It was February 2007. And it was funny. It was like... I realised when I got that check, this should have been the moment that was the most exciting for us both. And I've spoken to Joel about this, but I lost my identity. Like, I love the people. I love the people I worked with. And for I would say 6 to 9 months, I really struggled. I started to get anxiety all of a sudden in a way that, it should have been the direct opposite, right? It should have been, oh, well, I'm comfortable now. Comfort is not a good place for me. I like to be creative. I'm energized by people. I love people. I love business. I love connecting. I love innovating new things. And all of a sudden it was all gone. And it was, took me a while to get back on my feet from that. And and I remember thinking, at one point, you start to do stupid things when you get bored, right? idle hands, right? And I gave my ego the credit card. And I remember buying a lifestyle house on a golf course block in Queensland just before the GFC, right? And it crashed in regards to, 200 grand just came off that house within a 6-month period. And I knew I should have sold it, right? I knew the timing, but I thought, I'll find my way out of this. I'm pretty good at that sort of stuff. And that was a real kick in the guts, because when you're kicking goal after goal after goal and you're feeling like you're invincible and your ego's running the show, karma's a wonderful thing, and it can bring you back down to earth in a real thud. And it was probably the best thing also that happened to me, because it was the first time that I'd let my ego make an emotional decision rather than me use my common sense and my business strategy head. And I paid for that. And I was fortunate enough to get the check on the business, but you think 200 grand, you think sometimes that can take, let's say the average income is 75 grand. That's 3 years of hard yakka just gone. And you go, wow, that's quite a hit. But also from a confidence level, I knew now I wasn't invincible. And I also knew that I had to approach this in a new way, because the other thing that had hit me and why the anxiety and the darker feelings started to present was not only that financial loss, but also in regards to my drive was coming out of the wrong place. My drive was coming back from that butcher that was told me I should have been a butcher, and almost proving to the world that I was worth something. I was almost having to validate myself. I still love the people aspect of the business. That's what I love most. But there was this inner drive that came out of, this pain and suffering out of that moment that I hadn't addressed. And then that's when I started to do the work on I did the NLP certifications, did the master trainer, I did spirodynamics, EFT, and I did all that for two reasons. One, to understand myself better, and also to acknowledge how can I best support other people as well, because sometimes, I'm looking at someone looking at their website, or looking at the Richmond Football Club on their website going, oh, this person's like 80% a target. Now, how do I deal with this effectively without, getting angry or annoyed or frustrated? There must be a better way. So that's when I went and did all the behavioural work. And then I came out of a new foundation, and there was a new drive there in regards to going, well, if I could do that out of that old driver of suffering, what could I do with this sense of power that I now feel in really creating a legacy, and having people just being financially powered at another whole level. So that was really interesting. And I spent also 2 years it was about 18 months in the US, working with small business owners on accountability, on innovation, and also working out plans to execute in order to take their businesses from 50,000 in turnover to sometimes up over 1.5 million. So that seemed to be my sweet spot to be able to do that, and that was fun because I got re-engaged with people. I started to realise that I had a knack for being able to drive people from their best selves and work with their best attributes, and then formulate a strategy around that for them to achieve. So I had a lot of fun in that. And then after 18 months, I go, you know what? I'm pulling a few people through the mud here in order to achieve something really good. Why don't I just go and do it? Why don't I just build a team and do it, in a new way? And so I came back to Australia and then started Mortgage 500, Business 500, Wealth 500, Lease 500, and just expanded that whole 500 network. And over the course, using a lot of the principles we used that was good in the first business, but now with social media, we were going viral and we were really getting traction to the point in 2000, and we started that in 2010, and within 2015 we were winning, Australian Mortgage Broker of the Year awards. We were winning diversification awards, and people were going, diversification is the new thing. I go, no, specialisation is 2020. Diversification was 2010. That was the new thing. So it was really interesting to have that goal set in 2010 and to have that accomplished in 2015, and then going, oh, my work is done. Everything I wanted to achieve in this business is done. But now I had different filters from the first business. I knew exactly where I wanted to go after that, and that's the journey I'm on now. So, but that's a long-winded story. I do apologize, Mesh Movement. I hope you're still with me. But that's my journey, and I'm open to any questions and any insights you want to share, and happy to help. So, hope that was good, Joel.
Oh, mate, that was amazing, and I love how you just said that. Look, I just did this overnight. It all happened overnight. It's amazing. I
had the idea, the Mortgage 500 idea came out of, I was watching Shark Tank in the US, which we have now in Australia. I was watching that on YouTube. So I had Fortune 500 in my head. And then I'm very simple. I'm a country boy. I'm very simple by nature. So I wanted to have the name of what we do with the number. So I knew in some historical ritual terms, 500 is unconditional love. Now, we never marketed that to the business, right? We never marketed that to the community, but that was the intention of support on how we were going to support people, in our own inner sanctum. And then 500 to the world was Fortune 500, Indy 500. It was progressive. We're going places. And mortgage. And we could link anything to it. Real estate 500, legal 500. So it was, but it came overnight. I was watching the AFL Grand Final, and there was some sort of music, product they'd put together. I go, that's it. That's it at another level. I had the vision for it. I could see the people. I could see the clients, I could see the experts sitting around the table, and I could see me as the battery driving it. And then it was just a matter of backfilling the plan and starting. And that was, I just got to work. I was back in Melbourne within 2 weeks, and it was, we were firing. So, it was pretty exciting.
It's amazing, mate. And I love how, I just checked. We're all part of the Mesh movement here. We do go into another channel, but I can tell we're all in Juice Plus. And sorry if you're not, if I missed out on that. But something you said before, anyone could sell the product, the mortgages. Anyone can sell Juice Plus, right?
Yeah.
But I just saw so many similarities there. But to show genuine interest in people is honestly how I've had my success. And maybe I don't talk to 10,000 people a day, but I do stop and show genuine interest. And I really loved how I found, I heard you say that. And, how did you do it? You expected excellence.
Yeah.
Expected it. You expected to get 3 times the average. So
and we didn't want passengers, Joel. We thought if someone comes into our culture, we want that to be the expectation, so they would either thrive or they would very quickly fall away. But that's my greatest achievement. The thing I'm most proud of is that I never lost a team member in 17 years. And so people wanted to be a part of it. And I could tell when I was sitting across from someone, I could tell if they had that hunger and that drive in order to develop. I didn't care if they didn't even know finance, but I wanted to see that inspired nature, that they had something left on the table that they wanted to find in themselves. And it was I knew we could take those people to new levels, and they didn't want to let themselves down, and they didn't want to let their team down, and they didn't want to let their clients down. we wanted to be the best in the market, and that's what we strive to be with our innovation. And the same with Juice Plus. It's thinking laterally and going, okay, like we never mentioned finance, even when we were engaging in conversation. We wanted to be the demonstration of our service and product. You know, we wanted to be confident. We wanted to be saving money off our own mortgages and getting ahead financially. So we wanted to be the demonstration of our service and product. People were going, what do you do? Why? How are you doing what you do? And they enjoy that. I know a friend that's looking to save. And so to me, that was always really important. Could I be the demo business for like they were collaborating together in that excellence? And would you go through tough days? Of course you would. It's natural. It's you know, some people would have a bad month, and it would be like, okay, well, this month is what, so it doesn't happen again. But how are we going to ensure that this month we're going to meet our minimum standard of excellence? You know, so that was always the key. And you would get, it was always funny, Joel, and the mesh movement here would and just, you know, would appreciate this. Some people in the first business were on a wage, and they would come in and they would be, let's say they're 80% of targets. And this was me before I learned how to be a good leader and manager at this point. I'm about 31 at this point, right? And I go, well, why do you want a pay rise? You know, because you're 80% of target. I'm kind of thinking we've got a few issues here because, you know, I want to meet a standard and you're not meeting that standard. And but the good thing I said was, I go, tell me why you want the pay increase. What's important to you about that? We want to start a family. Brilliant. Because now I've got the real driver of that person. He wants got all these through his mind. And I said, thank you for talking about this. And I said, all right, in 6 months, if you achieve over the minimum standard, because he hadn't done it up until this point, he was a newbie, he was about 6 months in, I said, I will increase your pay by $10,000. And he's going, fantastic. Now we worked on a plan on how to do it, but I said, if you do that, then the next 6 months, we're going to do that again, because I'm going to reward excellence and I'm going to reward your best self. I'm not going to reward inadequacy. I'm not going to give you the pay rise now because you haven't lived up to your own standard that you made a commitment to and a commitment to the business. So it was fantastic, because this guy went like, he was going upwards slowly. He went like this. His wife stopped work. They had their kids, and it was like, and this guy now, like, he runs his own business, turning over $1 million in his own business. So I go, I'm so proud of him, because now he's mentoring people and, you know, telling those stories that he went through to the 28-year-olds, the 29-year-olds coming through. And so for me, that's power, to know that ripple effect is helping. But it's it's a powerful one, Joel.
Amazing, mate. Look, I've got a ton of questions for you, and I've taken so many notes, so thank you so much. And
go for it.
This is great. Like, let Marty know in the chat. Come on, guys. Like,
can I see the chat?
For Marty, like, just like, put your hand up. Anyone got a question? Better make it so I can see it.
You can see the chat, Joel, because I can't see any chat.
Okay. Okay. So Liz, like, for once, you've actually got a question.
Hi, Liz.
Hey, Marty. How are you?
Still on fire, but yes. I put the cream on and everything's all right.
I'm still recovering.
I was very inspired, like I said, about you climbing that mountain. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, your question.
So my question is, like, you've got a lot of energy and you've met Joel and myself and we've got a lot of energy. How would you tell people in terms of leadership to tap into what they don't think is energy? So there's a lot of people who go, yeah, but you've got this much energy, you've got the passion, you've got the drive, I've got, like excuses that are real, like, I've got 4 kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And they start telling me that, and my response is, yeah, well, I've got 6 kids and, I run 2 businesses because that's my personality. So for those people who don't have that really pushy, driven personality, how would you tell them to start to get that passion in their belly to, how to start it? How do they start it?
It's a really good question, because I think with energy, you think about, now let's think about even things we learn over the weekend with the different frequency in energy. Now, that's brilliant. Now, there's one way to look at it, the people that are matching that energy, but the real artistry is to be able to dial on the frequency of the person that you're dealing with. So for me, energy is power. I can be energetic here because I know you guys are pumped. I know you're firing and I can fire with you. And I go, but for me, that real sense of wisdom in it is to go, if I'm talking to an engineer, then that energy is shifting to that frequency to support that person so they can hear it from that standpoint. And I would say, if you're starting, really listen to what people are saying, and you're looking to match their frequency in regards to getting that rapport, not just on a physical level, like I know NLP as well, not just on that physical level, but on that energetic level in regards to breath, and really feel what's across from you, and always be looking to serve, and give them what they want, because so often we think, you need this, you should do this. And because we're so damn smart, right? But that's the very thing that can create a wedge in that energy. So it's very much listening to what their needs are, being in their frequency of energy, and then delivering into their need. And particularly when you start, and this is why I always say to people, if you're starting business, please have 6 months of financial reserves in the background, so you're not coming from an energy of desperation, because that people can smell that, they can feel that. I really separate the finances to go, finances over here, I know what we want to perform statistically and what we want to do financially, but when I'm with a client, even though that's still amalgamated as a business standpoint, but when I'm with a client, that is gone, and I am just there for that person. I'm listening, looking to deliver, looking to be on their frequency, and then expanding upon that. And my thought is always this person is going to be a raving fan, and my marketing, I want it. What's the story? So I'm always thinking about that expansion in that connection with that person, and they are becoming a friend, because, like I said, you could say it's an associate or a client, but at the end of the day, friendships build, you're building trust. I'm not just a friend with someone for the sake of being a friend. That trust is earned by both parties. So it's this real majestic tapestry of all that. So I hope that helps a little bit. That's just from my perspective.
Yeah, no, that's really great, because we get a lot of people asking in the team page, how can I market this product to people? And I'm only relatively new in the business for Juice Plus. However, I've had a lot of great success, and I've never once posted about the product, because I've done what you've said. I've built relationships, I've built trust. And sometimes when I write back to people, you need to be open, you need to be honest. People need to see who you are on your social media profile. They write back things like, oh, but how do I tell them about the products? But the thing is, you don't have to. They'll eventually ask you if you build that relationship.
Exactly.
Or that energy, right.
Exactly right. If you look at it as a hierarchy in this day and age, we as individuals are the brand. So we are the brand, and then we have products and services that come under us, right? But we are the brand of the business. We go beyond, the service or the product. So if you see yourself as the company now, this is 20 years ago, it would have been different, but this is now the future. You are the brand. People are connecting and engaging with you. They then become interested in you. You're interested in them, and they will ask the question, and you will be there to answer that question for them. So it's very important you're in alignment and you're demonstrating, your best self, because that's what's going to draw people to you and then to your product. Because like I was saying before, I wrote it down because this is like something that I've always carried with me from even the What Works going back. But I go, you'll be directly successful and the money you earn will be directly aligned to the need for what you do. So I'm a coach. I'm a business coach, right? And I look at, there's over 1 million small business in Australia that are earning 100 grand gross, but when you take out expenses, they're earning less than the average wage. And I go, 26% are earning 50,000 or less. Is there a need? Absolutely, there's a need, right? And I've established that need. I look, my ability to do it. I go, okay, the qualifications are one thing, but the business acumen in building business, and I didn't know this until my accountant told me, like we've generated 4 different businesses that have generated over 1.5 million a year. So I'm in the top 3% of business owners. I didn't even know. We just were having a good time building businesses. We never set out to do that. We had a vision to build a great business. And that's the key, is like have a vision to build a great business. And then this becomes a part. We did stats, but we didn't realize that compound interest on those stats, what was going on in building this great business. How difficult is it to replace you or your service? So I'm trying to make myself very difficult to replace. Yeah. So this is me, right? This is your enthusiasm, love, and drive. Now, that's going to come out in different ways for different people. I'm going to be in alignment with myself, but my wisdom and my energy will shift to the frequency where that person can listen, because that's the ultimate form of communication, is to meet them where they're at and have a conversation. That's artistry, and I love connecting to different people and diverse people. I love that. I love talking to an engineer or a country person. It's like, that's my I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And are people willing to pay for it, and at what price? Because I say what price because some people go in, consultants undersell themselves all the time, but I'm of the opinion to go, I would rather you be working, and getting paid than having not much. So it's this sweet balance of going, what are people willing to pay, and at what price? Because I'd rather you develop a community. Prices can always go up, always harder to bring them down. So that is my philosophy around business in an egg cup, and that's how I've driven it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That was gold, mate. And like, to be honest, like the independent hustle training was built off what you just said there at the end there. Like I found a lot of coaches were coming out of events and becoming coaches and all this sort of stuff, and then just pricing themselves straight out of the market, and they have big credit card debts and they have all this stuff, and you just think, well, hang on a minute, like, wouldn't you rather be working than
just
be on the sidelines? Like it's just an example, but you do the maths. $50 an hour working 40 hours a week, that's a $100,000 coaching business.
That's right.
I'm not saying that they need to do that, but like, you work the maths, like anyone that comes out of NLP just about, or any other kind of coaching, like, is worth more than $50 an hour.
That's right. And you're right. And I'm still very young in my coaching career, right? Because I've only really established this in the last 4 or 5 months. So it's like, this is really interesting for me. But what you're saying there, I have the star supporters of the Marty Vids show. That's $10 a month to get involved. But that's the thing I'm going to build as in regards to the community. they're going to get more value than they expect because that's what I do. But then there's the one-on-one coaching monthly and 6 months, and then there's the mastermind as well. But then I'm going to have because I was thinking, how am I going to make this business because it is me and I'm going to get support around, but how am I going to scale this? And I'll scale this with like a mega elements event with Trevor Hendy and, Earth will be Kai Furneaux, who's a outback warrior. Like I'll do something majestic that's a higher ticket price based off the star supporter price, which will be the bigger community. So I've got a filtration system that I know will work based on my business experience. And I go, and that's the thing. And I'm going, what I'm always ensuring is how do I give massive value and a point of difference in each of those contacts with me. So it's so that's how I've transferred the finance business to now the coaching business. And you have to work out your own, even though you might be selling the same product, what is your niche and point of difference in engagement, because no one can do what you do as an individual, and that's what's celebrated. That's what you need to celebrate and expand in the market, in social media, in LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn pods are blowing my mind in regards to the reach I'm getting on LinkedIn, and that I never expected that. I thought it was going to be Facebook, but business to business is my niche. It's my language. And I'm in a few pods with a few influencers that have got, 30,000 people in their networks. So my reach is going out because I'm in those networks. So again, it's thinking innovatively, thinking what's your niche, what's your angle, your point of difference, and how are you going to add value? And this sounds anti-competitive almost, but I go, I mean, your collaborators, and I don't know if you're competitors in any way, but you're collaborators, but really what you're looking for is an enhancement as a group to go, all right, I'm bringing this to the table as my point of difference, and that's to be celebrated. You're bringing that's your point of difference. That's fantastic. And there'll be little trinkets of ideas that will mesh across. But yeah, so it's so I like the format that you're doing because there's so much value in it.
It's how we do it. That's how we literally did create the mesh movement. There's people that need to be working with Christine. There's people that need to be working with me. There's and it's like the way we think of it is like the Apple store. You go into the Apple store. There's a guy that's just like you. There's a guy that's like a hippie. There's an older guy, so you got that instant rapport, right? And that's what I noticed that that's what was going to work really well here. And yeah, we are competitive, but we're inclusive as well. And it's hard to beat someone that wants you to win. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And like we know, Correct says, you want to keep each other to a high standard, and you want to be accountable. That if you aren't performing, I would say self-accountability. I really dislike letting myself down, and it's great. I had a great business partner, and within, I think it was 7 years, you think of all the loans we would have written, we're about 50 grand apart in our overall results, because if I had a good month, I knew sure as anything he was going to have a great month. It was great, that healthy competition. It made us better, and it made our teams better, and it was just so powerful. And people would say, aren't you worried about competitors coming into the market? Like, we haven't got time for that. We're just too busy innovating and riding the front of the wave. And if they're watching us, let them watch us, because we're enjoying the surf.
Amazing. Sweet. So, I'm going to bash through some questions.
Go for it.
So, how do you balance wanting to grow and achieve more with being grateful for the success you've already got?
Oh, that's a lovely question. I love that question. There's a sweet spot. There really is a sweet spot. And you've got to come back to personally going, what do you want from family, spiritually, from financial, look, some of the happiest people I've seen are earning 80 grand a year. So let's say money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it's nice to cry on marble, but but then I've seen some really happy people that have earned $20 million a year, and others that are in shambles. So there's no right or wrong in this. You've got to decide what's right for your life. And what I try and teach, particularly younger people, is I go, create assets that create passive revenue for you, because you might be really happy with a life where you're generating 15 grand a month and you want to maintain that, and that adds to your life, and you're growing in different areas of your life. So financial is one aspect. So you got to know what you want, how much you want to fuel the life you want to lead, and consider that expansion in other areas of your life. So I don't know if you remember the old equalizers. It's like sometimes, spiritually it's more important, other times financial, and then other times it's, but family is the core. And I go, how you relate in your family is really the extension of how you're going to relate to people in business as well. So, and I'm talking your immediate family, your kids and things like that. So you want to have, I always say it's no point having a huge bank balance and coming home to a group of strangers. That's not going to give you pleasure or satisfaction in your life. So get that really settled, use that as a great platform, and then work out what that is for you, and then reassess. You might think, I know people 10 grand a month is enough. I know others 30 grand a month. Some people want to do 50, some more, and that's okay. That's okay. But I'm very conscious that they don't sacrifice other areas in there. I know the first business, I really sacrificed the other areas, and I knew that wasn't sustainable. That was a train wreck waiting to happen. That's why I did a lot of personal development in my mid-30s to go, you know what, that check should have felt better, but it didn't, because I was missing on a lot of different points that then once I got right, and I'm still learning, I'm 46, I had a massive, breakthrough on the Find Your Fire retreat, which was wonderful. And I go, I'm always looking to learn and advance, because I know that will be of value to someone else. And that's what I'm here for, to serve. So it's, but that sweet spot for me, Joel, in long-winded answer to your question, was I think there was a beautiful time where it was Craig, myself, and two others with ample support. I think in regards to that, we just exponentially were growing at a rapid rate, and we could have actually grown further with even more support around the key players. So for me, that sweet spot was lovely, because as it gets bigger, there's more to manage, there's more to get right. The culture, one bad apple can ruin the whole culture, so you're very conscious. Who's put that thing on social media? Oh my goodness, what's going to happen there? So it's like you start to, and some people love that. Some people absolutely love that. So you got to really come back to, what do you want? How do you best operate? I love the one-on-one interaction with people and small groups. I love that. That's my, that's my zone of genius, which I really love. Other people love big groups, massive groups, and that's great. So I know someone's really successful, just does one-on-one. That's all they do. That's all they do. So it varies, it varies. So, yeah, but you've got to know your sweet spot, so your equalizer levels are all in harmony.
Great, mate. That was awesome. So much gold in these answers. Really, I hope you guys are taking notes, because it's so many golden threads of success here. We've heard lots of amazing speakers on here, and you hear the golden threads that link them all up and why they're all so successful. So out of all your accomplishments, which makes you most proud so far?
Gee, that's like choosing your kids. Hang on. No, For me, not losing any staff. For all the award, because, even winning the national award and, beating Mark Boris at the time, even though they were still young, but it was like a highlight. But I go that professionally they were, but I would say having people want to be a part of it, wanting to be a part of this vision that came from one day sitting on the couch watching the footy. I mean, that's, to me, that's that connection of care for people, and also really caring for people beyond the result that you want them to get as well. So for me, that was always important, because I knew that, people aren't statistics. And even though we talk about the achievement in regards to, statistic, but people are much more than that. And I always came at it from a human level, and people there was always a reciprocity on that. Even to the point where people said when before the GFC hit, they said if something happens like that, they would all take a pay cut because they wanted to be a part of this, and they would, if we all did it, we would be in it together. I just go, that to me is power. I love that. I love that. And I'm still friends with all those people today. So it's like, they're very special for me.
That was amazing. That was another amazing answer. And answers like that is why Marty is a successful guy. Far out, caring about other people. That's the best marketing strategy, by the way. Gary Vee say it. So
they want to work for you. They want to be with you. They want to inspire you, because that's what's coming back here. It's a powerful.
And see how this would work in Juice Plus. See how those answers will work. It just happens across all business. So fantastic. So, if someone was at rock bottom, what is the first step you'd recommend to get them back on track to a purposeful life?
Be there for them. Understand why they are where they're at. And also understand that sometimes you can't fix things. There might be outside support that's required, and that's okay. My main aim in that situation is to make them smile about it, because when people are smiling, they're listening, and then to incrementally move them, so in the right direction for them. So what I want to see is movement, and sometimes it's only 2% of the time, but I'm a big fan of momentum and trend. So if I can start to get them spiraling in an upward direction, that's what I'm looking for. So I have to have absolute rapport at that moment, at a deep level, have to understand them, have to understand why they're there, what's going on in their life, and be very supportive. But then for me, it's not everyone's cup of tea, though. For me, humour is a great conduit for me, in order to, if I can get them smiling, I can shift their state and I can get them moving. I don't want them to go from here, even though the expectation's here, I'm always looking for growth. If I can get a 2% improvement, then I can get a trend of that in 3 months for them, I know they're heading in the right direction. As long as people are trending upwards, then I know they're going to be okay. But at that moment, it's exactly what I said before. So
that was amazing. So if you could choose a superpower, what would it be?
Geez, Joel.
Taking to the Marvel universe now, or whatever.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because unconsciously all that's coming up is love. So it's I'm just trying to relate the superpower to an actual Marvel character, but that's all that comes up is a gratitude for love, to have that person in your space and in your energy, and vice versa. And I was going to say the Joker because of the smile, but he's a bad character. But I go, the thing is, in smiling or laughter, right? There's an intimacy in it that you only share with that person. That's my superpower, to have that moment with that person that's really innate to us. When you get someone giggling about something that they have no logical reason to giggle, and they are connecting with you at that level, and it's humor that comes out of love in that moment, and connectivity. That's my superpower. I just don't know which character does that.
Marty Vids.
That's the character. Yeah, that's right.
Amazing. All right, so for you and I might be two of the only ones that remember what billboards look like, but if you had a billboard and the entire world could see it, what would you say? What would you tell the world?
This is time is the only commodity you don't get back. Spend it wisely. There isn't anything more valuable than your time here. And no matter how long you live, it's not long enough, right? So for me, I make my decisions out of time. I charge my fees based on, the importance of that time. And like I said, I give my all, but it's like that time is so valuable to see. And why I say this, because if I had a kid 10 years ago and I was working 16-hour days and, I shake my head. Maybe that's why I didn't have. And you can say things like you're creating a future for your kids and everything. But when I went to my son's swimming class and watched him put his head under the water the first time, and just looking at him come up and seeing the sense of just total appreciation and love and excitement on his face. And then the next day I had time for him to give me a swimming lesson, and to see the look on his face, I'm going, I would have missed it all. I go, so that balance is like I'm talking about, that equalizer is so important, because you only get so much time with the people you love, and that love can be extended to everyone. But that's the billboard. That's the billboard. Time is the only commodity you don't get back. Spend it wisely.
Mate, that was a weapon of an answer. Thank you very much. And just like I don't generally do this, but where can all the guys find you? Where can all the Mesh movement find you? Do they just find you on Facebook and find your show? Because we didn't even get a chance to talk about your amazing podcast. But
we can do. It's not midnight yet, is it, Joel? What's going on here?
I know I'd speak all night, except I get in trouble if I go over the hour.
Okay. People can find me. Just go to martyvids.com.au. You can find the podcast there. You find everything that I do there. Probably got I'm up to about 70 interviews, but world champions, world champ stunt doubles, like eclectic stuff. People that have started a business walking other people. Can you believe it? World champion beard contests. It's like you say, it's interesting because those similarities of performance are across the board. So it always fascinates me. Facebook, Marty Vids, LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. And if you engage with me there, it's good, because then I can like you, and then that can extend, to other networks as well. But you have to private message me your post, so that way I can like it, so I know that it's coming through, and then I'll engage with it, and that'll get you out to new communities as well. So, yeah, but that's where you can find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate you jumping on. And this was like amazing. Who else thinks this was amazing? Come on.
Thank you, Marty. That was phenomenal.
That's a pleasure. Happy to share. I really appreciate you sticking around for an hour.
Amazing, mate. Thank you so much. I'll take us off record, and this is where the magic usually happens after this.
Off record.